The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, June 25th, 2024 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6 et seq, adequate notice of the meeting has been provided by submission of notice of the time, date, and location to the Star Ledger on December 5th, 2023, and the Hunterdon County Democrat on December 7th, 2023. Notice and, to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting have been posted at North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, Califon Borough, Town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties, and posted on the district website. Fire exits are located in the direction indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a common orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. At this time, please silence cell phones. Be included.
Ms. Cagno? Here. Mr. Chapman? Ms. Gallo? Here. Ms. Hintz? Here. Ms. Cotran? Here. Mr. McIsaac?
Here.
Mr. Mielek?
Here.
Ms. Reyes? Here. Ms. Salino? Here. Mr. Spanton?
Here.
Ms. Viato? Here. And Mr. Farbanish?
Here. So rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I need a call for a motion and second to approve agenda item 4.1, which are the minutes from the May 7th board meeting.
So moved.
Tara? Nicole? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have to abstain.
Abstain is Jess? Okay. Review of the Department of Education.
You got it. Okay, so just to remind everybody of the process, this is something we go through twice a year. We have a self-assessment team that evaluates both of our high schools on how they are adhering to the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. Then they give us scores on different categories. We present that score to the Board of Ed. Then it is submitted to the state. The state then approves it, sends it back to us, and this is the board now affirming that the scores that we submitted are correct. So if you remember, North Hunterdon scored a 76, and Voorhees scored a 77, which gives us a district score of 77 out of 78. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, and then your report.
Okay. So we had an exciting end of year. I'll go over the good stuff first, and then we'll get into the normal stuff. First of all, on Friday, May 10th, which was 3 days after we met last, the North Hunterdon High School held their annual Relay for Life. They raised over $50,000 again this year to battle cancer. The ceremony was dedicated to Joey Edwards, and who was a senior who lost his battle to cancer this past year. And for anybody that attended, it was a pretty emotional ceremony. It had to be indoors, unfortunately. It's nice to have it outdoors, but it was a great event nonetheless. And thank you to Dina Marin for all the hard work she puts in with the Internet Club and making that happen. Also, Voorhees had their junior-senior prom on May 30th, and North Hunterdon's senior prom was held on May 31st. They were both held at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, PA, and it seems like a great time was had by all. On Tuesday, July 11th, as everyone is aware, North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees both held their graduation ceremonies. Both ceremonies were a large success with large crowds and beautiful weather. North Hunterdon's valedictorian was Selena Zhang, and Voorhees' valedictorian was Mansi Patel. North Hunterdon's salutatorian was Amelia Chapman. Brian's not here tonight. And Voorhees' salutatorian was Megan McIsaac. And Brendan is here tonight. So two of those board members, congratulations. So congratulations to those students, but also to their parents. You know, they put a lot of hard work in over the years, and we wish them all the success.
For the record, I didn't help.
Modesty's a good trait. On June 11th, following graduation, the PTSA hosted another successful project graduation for North Hunterdon students at the Funplex in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, where close to 200 students chose to attend. For those of you that aren't aware, Project Graduation is an alcohol-free event that is meant to, give students something constructive to do the night of graduation. And we have a pretty good turnout for that, which is always nice. On May 28th, Voorhees students had their senior trip to Dorney Park, and on May 21st, they had their senior class trip where they had a dinner cruise on the Hudson River. And then the Voorhees senior class also had a cookout and senior sunset on Thursday, June 6th, after graduation practice. And I wanted to call it out because I think it's become a tradition up at Voorhees now where they do a senior sunrise when the seniors come in for the beginning of their school year, and then do a senior sunset at the end of the school year, and it's become a nice little tradition that, they have a great time with and they do a great job with, so congratulations on that. And just one more congratulations to all the 2024 graduates. We wish them the best in their futures and all of their endeavors. And lastly, I want to mention that Hunterdon County Polytech, as you can see, the building is going up quickly. There's a lot of work being done in there. Katie and I were fortunate to attend a topping off beam signing ceremony this past Friday. And it was, a lot of people from the community, commissioners were there, a lot of people from a lot of different agencies, and everyone got to sign a steel beam that then they lifted up and put in place with all the signatures on it. I think the workers were probably like saying, all right, get your signatures on there, so get out of the way, we want to get this done. But it turned out really well. It was a great event. We got to walk through the inside of the building, which was something, it's much larger than you could expect when you look at it from the outside. So, and Todd expressed his thanks to the Board of Ed for their support and the community as a whole. So, it was a great event altogether. I want you to all be aware that happened. So, that is everything.
Targeting the next fall, right?
That, right now, they're still saying May of 2025 for completion. That might be a little ambitious, but regardless, they have some time to play with. So fall of 2025 as an opening, yeah, I think that's probably feasible. All right, we do have our harassment, intimidation, and bullying items. There was one HIB case reported since the last time we met, and it was unfounded. So there will be no action necessary at the next board meeting for that. But then we need a call for a motion and second to determine the one founded and one unfounded HIB incident that was reported at the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question.
Beth, any questions?
Yeah, a question. Just looking at both of these forms, there's like, it kind of seems there's like information missing. There's like dates missing, the school's missing. One says that the parents weren't contacted. What happens in those kind of situations?
So these forms are generated from a software package that has about 1,000 options that you can check. The schools sometimes don't check one or sometimes check the other, or they check it after it was already reported. So there's a varied bunch of things that could happen. So if you have any questions, if you let me know at any time, I can look up the specifics for that particular question.
Okay. In normal situations when parents aren't contacted, how is that handled? with the
Parents are
student?
always contacted.
Says no here, okay.
Yeah. I can tell you they're always contacted, so.
Yeah, I was kind of
If there's
surprised to
hint
see
case.
that myself, yeah.
Yeah. So again, just because someone forgot to check something on a form doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Okay, but we're approving it, so, all right.
Rich, can I just tack into that?
Sure.
I think what she's referring to on the task section. So on the first page, it says no, task, they don't complement each other. It says no, one says no, one doesn't. And then there's questions. The task, go under, inside the actual document. And then, like under notes, there might not be notes or dates when it says it's supposed to be entered. You have 10 days to do it, and then on one of them it says, the deadline was missed, and then it was stated, no, it wasn't. So I just think there's inconsistencies.
There is, and that's because of the complexity of the system. So you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna make that a simpler form, so it'll be a lot easier for you to read at the board meetings.
Yeah.
And then if you have any questions about specifics, you can let us know, and we can find that information out on that particular incident, instead of just trying to search through a whole form of
Yeah.
trying to figure out why something happened.
That sounds great, thanks.
Thanks, Rich.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Okay, and last but not least, on my section is our New Jersey QSAC, which is the Quality Single Accountability Continuum. That's a mouthful, but basically this is a monitoring process the state goes through for every school district every 3 years. This was our year to have it done. It actually hasn't been done for this is the 6th year, I believe. So, you know, when COVID hit, we were actually due, and then every year they kept pushing it off and saying, just put a statement of assurance in saying you're still okay. But this was our year to, you know, post-COVID, we monitored. We were, and you can see our scores there. You know, we passed everything, and that's really what counts from the county office. So we also look at this data to see where there is places to improve. Obviously, instruction and programming, we'd like to see that a lot higher. That really comes down to test scores. Test scores are something that we have control over, but not directly in regards to the monitoring system. It just comes from the state and pre-populates.
That's state test scores.
Correct, yes.
So Rich, would those be test scores from the last 3 years or from the last 6 years, or
No, I think it's only from the last year.
this is from the last year?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And Rich, I'm not really clear on what exactly is this?
So again, it's a monitoring system where what happens is the county superintendent comes in with members of his staff. For instance, he'll have someone come in and look at our curriculum and instruction and program.
Okay.
Make sure we have things in place, make sure we have things filed the way we're supposed to, make sure we have public notices the way we're supposed to. Governance is really how the board runs. We talk about board operations, posting of agendas, making sure we have a board meeting every 60 days, things like that. Fiscal management, Katie, you know, works with them directly with the county BA to make sure that we have our accounting systems in place and they are all following.
Yeah, they look back 12 months, and then they just verify that, you know, we've met certain requirements that's in code statute.
And there's a checklist. And basically, they go through a checklist and say, do you have this? Yes. And so you get 1 or 2 points for that, or you get 0 points.
So on the instruction and program section, do they actually provide you with feedback on what is prohibiting you from getting 100%?
So again, instruction and programming is based just on state testing.
Oh, that's, okay, so
I would
it's
love to
state
have
testing,
100%,
right?
but that's
Okay.
probably not a feasible goal.
Okay.
But I'd like to see that closer in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, it would, because the way I read it was, meaning, you know, our curriculum and what we're teaching, and all, it would have been lesser.
All
than-
the things that we have control, I shouldn't say all the, we have control over the test scores, I'm not saying that we
Right,
don't,
right,
but
right.
all the things we have direct control over here, all of those we scored 100% on.
Okay.
That's a part of that instruction and programming, and then,
I see, okay.
If you wanted to see the actual checklist of what they go through, when we approved this back in November, the board allowed us to submit our QSAC document, and
Right.
that has all of those checklists in there.
Okay.
So if you wanted to go back to
I'll
those
go back
tabs,
and
you could
look,
see
yeah.
that.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
And one more other question, is there like a percentage of like where we rank in the state, so to speak, or in the county? Is there any kind of?
for
not really.
QSAC, no, it's,
Okay.
QSAC is you either pass or fail.
Pass or fail?
If you fail, you have a corrective action plan that goes into place in the district.
Okay.
And that's not the case here, but, you know, that's the only, I guess, consequence.
Rich, this may be going a little too deep on that, but on the test score part of it, is it about meeting the state-designated, state-determined benchmarks for the district?
That is a good question, and the formula they use for it is so complicated that it's not just that. You would think that it would be like, all right, you met your benchmarks with this percentage, and that's it. You would think 82% met the benchmark, right? That's not quite the case. It looks at subgroups, it looks at a lot of different categories, and comes up with a score based on weighting and
Yeah,
things like
well,
that.
I remember, because I know a lot of the information is annually on the school report card for overall performance in subgroups, but I know a few years back, pre-pandemic, each district had their goals sort of set for them based on pre-pandemic years of performance. And then meeting those goals, everyone sort of took a hit after the pandemic, and I know falling short of those trends now. I was curious if that was an area where
Yeah.
that was happening.
I wouldn't say that that's the
Okay.
case right now, because I think we're far enough out of the pandemic that we're, you know, we should be seeing, you know, results for what we're doing, so.
Agreed.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Then I'm done. Thank you.
Our next regular board meeting is July 23rd, 2024 at 7 PM at the District Administration Office, and the deadline to submit nominating petitions for school board vacancies to the County Clerk's Office is July 29th, 2024 at 4 PM. So open for public comment. So during this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the Board of Education with comments. You are requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state your name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and direct your comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered by the Board of Education, and a response may be forthcoming if and when appropriate. Individual school board members may not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. The public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length, unless there are unusual circumstances. You'll be allocated 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Please keep your comments respectful and non-defamatory, and maintain a level of decorum appropriate for a public meeting where students may be present and in the audience. Any comments?
Good evening, Board President, fellow board members, and administration. My name is Stephen Piontek, and I reside in Union Township. I'd like to share some important concerns that, to my knowledge, have not yet been addressed. During the previous board meeting on May 7th, 2024, our North Hunterdon High School librarian, Martha Hickson, walked down the hall to where her library office was with several students in tow and a cameraman. They all went towards her office, which had a closed door. I checked all the other rooms, and she was nowhere to be found, which was the outside of the building and the staircase. I brought this to the attention of Principal Cottrell, and his response was, "I will not respond to these allegations." Further stating that all staff members go through a background check, and most of the school is monitored by cameras. My questions I have are, was the administration aware that Ms. Hickson brought students to her library office during off-school hours? Did the administration approve of this? Why did Ms. Hickson have the students and the cameraman in her office in the first place? Was the cameraman putting Ms. Hickson and these children and students on video on the internet? Were all the parents aware, and did they provide written consent? Policy 3281 pertains to inappropriate staff conduct. Based on this librarian's behavior in this incident and numerous others, I believe Ms. Hickson has violated this policy due to overstepping the staff-student boundaries that are required to maintain professionalism, respect, and most importantly, safety for all students. Policy 3211 speaks to the code of ethics required by professional educators and comes directly from the National Education Association. I believe Ms. Hickson violated this district policy as well. Code of ethics state, the educator shall not use personal relationships with students for private advantages. Ms. Hickson has received awards, one being $10,000 for the Lemony Snicket Award due to fighting with and calling parents extremists that simply want to protect their minor children in public schools from sexually explicit and obscene content. Ms. Hickson has put out messages to students, getting them to believe they themselves are under attack and they should come to the board meetings and speak. She has put them on video discussing their LGBT-ness and has even publicly stated in an interview more than once that she's a big advocate for getting students involved to join the fight. It is one thing if the students, by their own doing, want to support their educator. It is another when that educator is recruiting, facilitating, and grooming them to help the educator fight a fight the educator created, choosing to curate library books that are highly inappropriate, sexually explicit, pervasively vulgar, and obscene. Ms. Hickson has used our school district library in interviews, by media, and even went as far as putting students on video and has posted it online. Ms. Hickson has been given free rein by this administration to use our school district, library, and students, many of whom are minors, that taxpayers fund to do her activist work. Ms. Hickson has on countless occasions blackened out the windows of the library. No teacher or staff member should ever purposely obstruct the door or glass windows with anything that would prevent someone from being able to clearly see inside. Public schools should, is that my time?
Yes, sir. You can sum up if you'd like.
I'll just wait until it goes around there. There's not many.
Okay.
Did you take the?
No, that was my pen. Brought my own. Oh, I'm sorry. Look,
There's no pen.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you. Jennifer Cusack of Highbridge. After last month's meeting, I got lost in the hallway. Ms. Hickson helped me out. She wasn't unfindable. She wasn't with students. She was helping me because I was lost. Thank you.
Round two. Ms. Hickson and her political activist group, North Hunterdon-Voorhees Intellectual Freedom Fighters, has pages on multiple social media platforms. If you go to their Facebook pages, you will see the constant personal attacks against Board of Ed candidates, Board of Ed members, their family members, those who donate to their campaign, and community members. They don't just disagree with a person's stance on an issue and present a counter-argument, but resort to name-calling, such as labeling them extremists, right-wingers, radicals, homophobes, transphobes, bigots, and other character assassination attempts. The same type of behavior and language by North Hunterdon-Voorhees students is not tolerated and should not be tolerated based on Ms. Hickson engaging in the same sort of conduct. This is unbecoming of a public school librarian. Ms. Hickson herself has demanded that community members be civil when they express their grievances on issues, yet she doesn't care to do the same. Ms. Hickson and her North Hunterdon-Voorhees intellectual freedom fighters posted inside information from the book review committee that the public still to this day has not been given. This leak was never investigated nor addressed. Ms. Hickson has given Garden State Equality, a left-wing political activist organization, guidance on how to fight against so-called book bans. This publication contained Ms. Hickson's name and personal email address. This is more evidence that Ms. Hickson's interviewing her job as a librarian and her activism. Ms. Hickson says she fights for and believes in the First Amendment, yet during the 2022 election, Ms. Hickson and a group of activists protested a 101.5 radio show host, Bill Spadia, by banging loud drums in an attempt to deny him. Those running for the board and their constituents from the First Amendment right to assemble and exercise. My 1-year-old son was one of the kids that that had a drum banged in his ear. Yes, Ms. Hickson, like every other American citizen, has a First Amendment right, but she being a government employee of the state in a public school where the district policies and state ethics in place does place restrictions on what she can say, how she says it, where, and when. The First Amendment is not unlimited, as our own board attorney, John Comigno, pointed out in a board meeting of October 2021. The more this administration turns a blind eye to one of their employees' words and behaviors, the more emboldened the employee becomes and the further they are willing to cross the line by overstepping policies, procedures, and ethics. I am speaking here tonight with the understanding that the board is the last court of the last resort. This administration is well aware of the many issues that have been brought to their attention regarding Ms. Hickson's words and behavior, and nothing has been done. Therefore, my grievance will now be part of public record, and I am asking the board and administration to immediately address all of what Ms. Hickson has done and has said, not just from what I shared here tonight, but from all the other complaints that have come in and been ignored. There is more than enough evidence to terminate her employment and at the very least take disciplinary action. So going forward, Ms. Hickson understands she cannot freely do and say whatever she wants when a community member addresses their grievances related to this librarian or anything she strongly disagrees with. She doesn't immediately claim she's not being protected, that she's a victim of harassment, and sends her letter to the community member threatening to sue them for defamation, like she did in 2022 when no defamation was committed against her, hence why she never went forward with a lawsuit against the community member. It was a bully and intimidation tactic, which comes from the American Libraries Association guidance for librarians when fighting back against parents. I got one more sentence. Can I finish? Or?
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
I highly recommend you address the ongoing issue within our school district, or you will leave yourself open for a major lawsuit for failure to doing your job as an administration and a board. Thank you. Let me not steal the page this time. Thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm Dan. I'm not from your district.
Just sign in.
I have to sign in.
I'll get you a new pen.
I'm not from your district, so whatever I say is not going to matter here. I looked at your agenda, and I looked at something called CJ Pride. I'm not objecting to the word pride. I'm not objecting to anything. This is your district. But it does emphasize that employees will be selected based on diversity. To me, that means employees will not be selected based on quality. You can't have both. You have to pick based on their quality, but if they're not the right diversity, then suddenly they're not to be selected. This is a problem that we can see in major companies like Walt Disney, where they were just caught coming out and admitting to this. Red Hat does the same thing. Airlines are doing it, and it's resulting in poorer quality airlines and actions and so on and so forth within companies. diversity is an important goal, but when it's going to be a replacement for quality of the educators that you're hiring, then it's something that you might want to consider whether you really want to agree that diversity is the goal in hiring as opposed to quality. Thank you.
Jim Charnagan, Tewksbury. So I was at the last meeting last month, and my comment has to do with the discussion that the board was having after all the public comments when they're discussing the issue of the book. And the crowd was very boisterous and interruptive, very disrespectful to a lot of the members of the board as they were discussing. So I'd just like to say, as president, your responsibility is to gavel that crowd down and maintain order and demand respect for the board when they're discussing these issues, because that's your responsibility. And they have every right, as you know, to discuss these issues. Public comments are a different situation. Given the issue, you know it's going to get a little boisterous and what have you, and that's fine. But when the board is in discussion, you have a responsibility to maintain order and protect your board members. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, great, thank you. So moving on to agenda item 9, I need a call for motion and second to approve agenda items 9.1 through 9.8.
So moved.
Yes,
Second?
Beth? Any questions?
I have questions. Hold on. I would like to make a motion to amend resolution 062524 to replace Comegno Law Group with Bush Law Group as the attorney of record for the 2024 and 2025 school year.
What? What is that?
So I don't,
What?
We are at 9.1. So my motion is to make Bush Law the attorney of record over Comegno Law.
What does that have to do with,
With 9.1 and 9.2, we're approving lawyer contracts and professional services.
Which resolution is she talking about? 4?
You're making a motion without a motion.
so.
oh, yes.
that's a
Okay,
motion.
so
We're
make,
discussing 9.1 through 9.8, I believe. So
right, so
that would be a separate motion.
how is that?
She'd have to make a motion after
Right.
we discuss the.
No, you can't make a motion when we're in a motion.
No, you should have to do it after we
Right.
have this
There's already an
discussion.
active motion and a second
I
for
thought it
the
was a
actual
discussion.
motion for all the items, so we need to vote
Yeah,
on
we're
that
discussing,
first,
but
before she can make a new
I don't know
motion.
if you can make a motion while
First
in
vote.
discussion.
Because he asked for approval, so I didn't know he said any discussion, so I was kind of confused.
Okay,
But the primary motion has to be voted on.
okay. All right, so we need to first vote on this primary motion, and if it doesn't pass, then we can take up your motion, okay?
If it doesn't pass? That's right.
So we're first going to vote on this motion, and if this motion passes, then
She can put a new
it's,
motion on the
you can
floor.
put another motion on the floor, but we're first going to vote on the motion to approve these.
Okay.
So other questions? Okay, so all in favor of 9.1 through 9.8?
Aye.
Any opposed? 2?
Selena.
And any abstentions? Okay, so now we take up a new motion to flip them, or is this new business?
Make a motion to go. Yeah, there's all three no's.
So that passed.
It passed. Sorry,
Yeah,
But that's not what she's making a
Motion
motion
passed.
for.
All right, so the motion passed.
correct.
The motion that she's on was
So
all
now, are we
professional
going to do a
services.
new
Yeah.
motion to,
You
or
could.
this is
Yeah.
new?
No,
She could do
at
it
this
with
point,
it.
the
I mean,
I
she
need to
could.
check with New Jersey School Board.
correct.
I know.
Annual appointments have been made at this point,
Do it.
have been
Right.
approved.
Right,
Let's have another.
so the motion is moved.
Correct.
Yeah, so we can discuss it during new business then.
Okay. I checked with New Jersey School Boards, and there was, they did have something in there, in our policy, it does state that, okay, we'll wait to new business.
Till new business.
I'll work with that then.
Just so you guys know, it's hard to hear you down here for all of us.
Yeah,
when you're
to
talking
hear
now,
Oh,
but
sorry.
I'm not-
conversation.
Oh, sorry.
Not Nicole.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
That's okay.
Exactly. I know we need to be back at the district
I
office.
know.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Other districts have done it this way, so.
Okay, moving to agenda item 10 for curriculum, instruction, and technology. Beth?
Yep. So the Curriculum, Instruction, and Technology Committee met on June 19th. And the topics were, first off, the home instruction, which I think there were only a few left going into the end of the school year. And then we discussed the out-of-district placements, better understanding about how they're funded, and making sure that the budget that we approved also included the funds that were going to be allocated to the out-of-district placements, given the number of students that were being sent out of district for need. Then we also discussed the requirements for the LIEP, which is essentially the Limited English Language Skills Program. So we discussed that a bit, and then also talked about the two textbooks that are being proposed and on the agenda for approval tonight. One is the 10th grade English for My Perspectives, and the other is a new textbook for AP Calculus. What we discussed was really trying to understand, what the curriculum in English class looks like based upon the use of My Perspectives, which takes excerpts from books versus the reading of actual novels. So we had that discussion. It was fairly clear with the curriculum being weighted more 60-70% relying on novels and writing, and so we were comfortable with that. Then we talked about the enrollment trends, and what we were doing was analyzing the trends from about the 2017-2018 enrollment through this year, and seeing that while there was definitely a decrease, we were noticing that it was being balanced with the academy. The recommendation of the members on the committee was to updating the demographic study, given the additional housing that's been brought into the district, and to evaluate what the longer-term impact could be on the number of students coming into the school district or the high school district in the future. And so we'll be looking into that. We also talked about the common assessments again and the need to analyze the data when it starts coming in. We really won't be able to look at a true assessment of the data until we start seeing what it looks like coming out of the ninth grade year, the students coming in, as well as the students that will be taking the assessments in 10th grade. And I think what we're going to do also is help parents better understand what we mean by assessments. They're not meant to be standardized test assessments. They are assessments meaning school tests. And so it'll be made more clear to the parents, we believe, by explaining what we mean by that and as to why students have this information or the grades in their GPA. Other than that, we've agreed to revisit still the topic of artificial intelligence. And so now that we're meeting in July again, it'll give us the opportunity to have more of that discussion as well. And that was it.
Any questions?
I have a few questions. In looking at the out-of-district placements, have we, I don't know if you guys talked about bringing students back into the district, or any of the possibilities of candidates coming into the programs we have in the district? I was just curious, because this was
You're asking me?
yourself or.
We talked a little bit about, you go ahead and address it. We talked a bit, but No
Yeah, I mean,
detail.
by law, we have to provide the least restrictive environment for every student. So yes, whenever possible, we have students in-house in our programs. It's only when we can't provide that instruction for that student that they get out of district placed.
Okay. And then looking at the textbooks, there's the calculus for the AP course. Will there be rollouts for calculus for CP and honors too, changing text, or is it just the AP level?
Just the AP level.
Yeah.
And it's for both AP, AB, and BC.
And BC.
It's the whole thing, yeah.
Okay. And then I just had, the language arts, grade 10. I was just curious. There was talking about, the selections of the curriculum. Few of the selections may be, covered in other curriculum areas. Well, isn't that what we want? You want it to be cross-curricular, correct?
What was your question?
I don't, yeah,
Your weaknesses, it's stressing on summary statement, weaknesses of the textbooks. I was just curious when you guys
Oh.
discussed them in committee.
Well, we weren't
What were
talking
you-
necessarily about weaknesses in the textbook itself, but understanding what is going to be in the textbook versus are we going to have the students still reading novels and the things that are kind of essential to English, the English language and the studies as they get older. And so we talked a bit about the fact that the book does cover different types of historical, sociological types of topics to assist students in their written and written analysis and things of that nature. And then on top of it, there is also going to be novels that are part of the curriculum as well. So that's what we were just trying to better understand and evaluate.
Okay, thank you for
That
clarifying.
same textbook company was used for the ninth graders this year as well. So it's just the 10th grade book.
Right, they already have it from ninth grade,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I have some questions and comments too.
yeah.
So the 10th grade ELA book, this is the first time we're having a text for 10th grade ELA, and it's for all levels. I just want to make that understanding, get that understanding correct? Because the last few years, my understanding is they were strictly reading novels and writing and getting excerpts handed out to the teachers. So
There's always been a textbook.
there's always been a textbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Haven't
the
been
one we're
aware of that.
replacing was from 1989, so that's why it's being replaced. So maybe they weren't using it as extensively.
Yeah.
Okay, so this textbook will be an electronic textbook? Okay.
Yes.
And then the calculus one is an actual hard copy, correct?
I don't recall.
All of our textbooks now are electronic.
Everything's
There-
electronic.
There's sometimes hard
Electronic
copies that are classroom copies that students can use, but they typically access it. through
Even
the
math?
computers.
Yeah.
There's no, even for the AP, for the
Okay,
calculus?
I thought I read it.
Again, they have hard copies for
hard
the
copy.
classroom set, so a student can have a hard copy, but most of the students are accessing the
Just
online
online.
version.
Yeah, everything's
Okay.
online.
Regarding in our agenda, 10.1, I know last meeting, we were asked to have monthly reports within our curriculum instruction technology. So we didn't get a chance to go over that in our committee meeting. So I'm wondering,
Are you talking about the attendance reports?
no, so it's
Monthly
item
reports,
10.1, monthly reports.
Monthly report.
Last month, that was under the CSA report. Last month. I checked the agenda, and we had that under our chief administrator's report, which is usually where it's been since January, right? So with the request from last meeting, we shifted it to curriculum. But nobody's going over that, from what I'm seeing. Right, because we didn't.
It was in the
We didn't
minutes,
bunch it
actually. I
under
asked
chief
for it,
administrator's
yeah.
report.
Okay.
And we didn't
it's not
touch
on
on
the
it,
agenda.
I guess we didn't have time, or it wasn't in our agenda, it just didn't
It,
get
it,
in.
it was not, to my knowledge, it wasn't on the agenda. I'm looking at the
It's not.
Right.
agenda from the meeting. So,
We can make
Is
sure
your-
that's on the agenda from now on. If you'd
yeah,
like to
we'll
discuss the
make
monthly
sure that
reports.
it's there.
Yeah.
If
There-
you want to discuss the monthly reports in the curriculum committee.
That's what it looks like,
Yeah, so
right?
we can put that on the agenda.
Okay.
Want to table that for July?
It was on, someone requested it last.
I requested it, it was in the minutes that I requested it, but.
No,
Okay,
I'm
well-
saying this actual report, since it wasn't discussed in committee, do you want to table it
Are the
So
monthly
to
reports
approve-
just
To approve it at the
attendance?
next month.
They're attendance.
It's
reports.
attendance, suspension
attendance
rates, things like
reports.
that.
No, there's all kinds of information in there. There's attendance, there's people that
There's
leave the
also,
district, there's like all
Discipline.
kinds of
Discipline.
disciplinary issues,
Okay.
vaping issues, all kinds of different things on there that need to be addressed.
Tabling might be good.
So do we have, I mean, do you have specific questions on it? Because I normally find it under the, chief administration's
Yeah.
report, right?
But I
So,
guess
mean,
it's supposed to be considered under the, in the committee setting, and since it wasn't, it's kind of like 2 months ago, we had a book donation that wasn't presented at our committee, so we tabled it for the next month to have the discussion at our committee, and then we approved it. I guess that's a similar scenario.
Because if you look at what she's trying to say, if you look at the agenda for tonight, it is now on the bottom under,
Under curriculum,
Curriculum.
instruction, technology, right?
10.1.
it was always under the superintendent's.
Right.
And we
Right.
just, it was there for
It
reference.
wasn't discussed.
Last month, it was recommended could it be
Okay,
moved?
so we
And
can
it
table it.
suggested for
Discuss it.
curriculum.
Table it.
Right.
We can table it.
Table it.
So just table it till next month, and
Table it.
but add it on the.
That's fine, we can table it to the next July meeting.
But I also want to ask, is there a concern with that list?
You were actually the one I think that
I
recommended.
I did not recommend
For
it.
curriculum.
I recommended it. I recommended
What
it,
is
and then, Beth, you suggested that maybe it could be
Put
put
it
into
in
curriculum.
curriculum.
Right, okay.
But my concern is just to kind of, when you look at the two schools, and you look at some of their, behavior issues, how they're being, comparing them, are they going up, are they going down, what school's struggling with vaping, what school's struggling with bullying, whatever the scenario is, I
There
kind of
were-
feel that,
there
in
were
reality,
Less
That-
than 5 students engaged in.
in reality, the point was just to monitor what's going on in each school, because that's something that also needs to be discussed. Because from
Okay.
word of mouth is that the vaping and drug use is really up in both schools. So I would just want that also
Okay.
to be reviewed.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, I have no issue with us tabling that point, and so then we would remove that, I guess, from,
So I guess I need a motion and a second to table 10.1, is that how it's?
so so moved.
Second.
Okay, so
I
all
don't know
in
if there
favor?
was, I don't know if there was a motion already
So there's not a
on
motion
10.
to vote on it yet.
No,
So does the administration want to table or not offer 10-1?
that's
I think
correct.
what's being suggested is that we table 10.1 to
Okay,
July.
so
to vote
10-1
on.
is not being offered by the administration.
Right,
So at this
So we don't-
point, 10 will just be 10-2 through 10-5.
right, 10 to 10.5.
Okay.
And then next month, it'll be
April, May, and June
Right.
will be
Yeah.
discussing
Okay.
curriculum.
Okay.
So do you need a motion and a second for that? Or just-
Now we need a motion and a second on 10-2 through 10-5.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so all in favor of approving 10.2 to 10.5?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Policy and security, Kim?
We had a simple meeting update on NJSBA, the conversion process. Rich provided an update to the committee members on the status of the policy manual. The template they're using to evaluate each policy and fit into the format was shared and discussed. A sample resolution, we got to see it, was also shared with the committee, and the next update will be presented to the committee at the August meeting. I think Rich, you're meeting with them again the 13th of August?
July 28th, I believe.
28th. So we're continuing to monitor the progress, so there's no action items at this time. We also did discuss district goals, board goals, how we should develop them together. Glenn was gonna reach out to Gwen and establish her availability for July or August to facilitate that conversation, and Glenn did reach back out to us. It's in August. And we did discuss, I recommended in that discussion, our strategic plan is up. So I did recommend that we look at that and possibly that be a board, or a district goal. So, and that was it.
It's the 29th, meeting with them again.
Thank you, Rich.
What, June, July?
July 29th is the next meeting for, speaking with NJSBA.
I mean, June 29th, right?
July.
July.
July 29th.
Yeah, June 29th is,
It's coming up.
yeah.
It comes fast.
Okay, any questions on policy? Okay. Finance, John?
I guess, thank you. Committee met last Monday evening at 6:30 virtually. Committee members with the exception of Dan. First thing we talked about was the PowerPoint presentation review. Katie had put this together. It's in our common drive for all board members to review this presentation to help board members regarding the monthly board secretary transfer and financial certifications. The presentation has several screenshots from March 31st, the financial statement that were the most recent ones approved, and how they work. So this is meant to be like a tutorial to get board members more knowledgeable of these reports that we see on a monthly basis. Glenn and our committee agreed to have finance resources that are available, and maybe a great place to begin. So once again, it's a great resource, so please take the time to review it. Katie put a lot of time into it, and it's in that drive. Next one, we talked about facility projects that are underway this summer. Those are HVAC projects related to the referendum and the New Jersey Clean Energy Grant are now being installed. Equipment lead times have caused this delay. That's why it's getting done this summer. Both North and Voorhees have contractors installing new units. And if you look in our common drive, you'll see maps in our folder that depict what's being replaced. While this is occurring, and since we're out of school, we have some commercial dehumidifiers that will be working in the areas where we don't have proper HVAC at this time to avoid any mold issues like we had a few years ago. Also, we had a discussion about some activity in Trenton. We talked about it a little bit at our last meeting. There were bills in play to help boards who have had loss of state aid. The one bill, A4161, that's not going to be applicable to us because we didn't actually lose any aid. We had a slight increase, so that bill is to help towns that had lost some aid. Also, Bill A4161, it allows an increase in the levy to compensate for losses going back, over the last 4 years, up to 9.9%. Both the administration and our committee agreed that recouping this loss in state aid by making a one-time raising our taxes to our taxpayers was not something that we wanted to do. We've been able to pass our budgets with that 2% or through other means that we've had available in the last few years. So just because we can go back and raise taxes, we don't recommend it. The other bill extends the deadline for the budget calendar to do this, but obviously we're not going to do it, so it's irrelevant to us. As far as agenda review items, you'll see we've already discussed about this first one, the CUSAC. Finance received a 95% rating. The reason it received a 5% deduction were safety concerns regarding vision panels in classroom doors. This has been an item that's been on our radar for quite a while, and you'll note on our agenda tonight, this project is on the agenda for bid acceptance. So that would, erase that, make that score 100% for next, I guess, in 3 years. Annual activities, lots of resolutions for renewal of professional service contracts, bonds, and year-end capital reserve transfers. Also, there's some updated pricing with different cooperative contracts. 12.7 reappoints Brown & Brown as the health benefits broker for 24-25. This concludes, we had a request for proposal out there to many, the vendors. And so we're reappointing Brown & Brown after going through that process. Also, we're reappointing Perrette Samgen Architects. They have two tasks to 12.8, 12.9. One is their continual monitoring of the Polytech activities. They are involved helping our administration with any of those issues that come up with the Polytech construction. And also, they're going to be charged with updating our district's long-range facility plan this summer. And then the last one, 12.10, I already mentioned, was bid acceptance of the classroom door replacement. So with that, our committee recommends approval of these items. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just the detail on the doors, is it that they're lacking?
I believe
window,
it's, is that correct? There's no vision panel?
That's correct. They should have a vision
They're
panel.
just the ones in question are solid?
Correct. They're original to the building, both buildings. So there's classroom
So
doors
a
being
vision panel
replaced.
is a window.
Oh, wait.
Like you see a window in
Yeah,
the door?
that,
Okay.
The back door is.
is that state law, or is that just something that we're just trying to do to be ahead of safety?
Oh, yeah, that's in statute, I believe.
Okay.
Any new construction going forward, we would do it, but this just hasn't been cleaned up from prior
How,
years.
we've been grandfathered several years.
We have been grandfathered, so they've never actually deducted points for us in CUSAC, even though we were not in compliance for so long, but they finally said no.
Did they
Because it's
tell
an
us they
expense.
were going to be doing that they were gonna penalize us on CUSAC? Did they give us a heads
They
up,
let
or?
me know as we were in the process, but
Of course.
it's up to their determination, really. It's
Okay.
not up to us.
So did we get hit on that?
That was the 5-point restriction.
Still passing.
But they didn't really give us enough time. I mean,
Right.
in essence.
They said if we had the bid in place, by the time we finished,
Yeah.
we could have had the
Ride
plans.
the wave as long as you can.
So,
Just on the comment John made about the second bill, right? So Katie's other comment was, we didn't forego something in this budget cycle, right, that we think we should have, or we could have used this opportunity to try to bring back, right? So that was part of the determination as to not take advantage of, right? And it's a one-time thing this year only, so we can't, bank it or
You
something
can't do
like that.
everything. I mean, that's the state for you. I was just saying, that's kind of.
Yeah, no, just so everyone's clear, right, it wasn't like we forewent something that we can now try to get back, right? We think we did what was necessary for this year, so. Right, so correct me, right, we've used Pride in the past. Pride is simply providing us another opportunity to get access to to more talent pool, right? Because of difficulty in hiring teachers and, right, as always, we're hiring on merits. It's another opportunity to get access to more people, right?
Correct. We have, they basically provide us a job fair every year.
Yeah.
That allows us to recruit educators from around the state.
yeah.
They did change their name recently. It is now New Jersey Stride, and that stands for Statewide Recruitment of Diverse Educators.
So I have a question on that. What is the yield? Like, what are we getting? Have we have any applicants from them? Have we been successful in recruiting them?
Yeah, I think we've hired 2 or 3 teachers over the years through the job fair. We've
How long
had
have we been in this
a lot of
contract?
applicants.
Well, like 2 or 3 years, second
3
or
or
third
4,
year.
I thought.
And we've hired actually from this?
We actually have, yes.
Okay. So then, I have a question. If we're an equal opportunity employer, why do we need this? I mean, we shouldn't be discriminating anyway. We
it's
should
a
be
recruitment
hiring
tool.
under.
It's more of a recruitment tool.
Access to more
This-
access to more people.
This just gives us access to more people
But
and
can't
a
those
larger
people
pool.
apply
What would you suggest?
a regular application like anybody else?
Well, they do that.
Well,
But
they
they
do
do the
that.
job
They already do
fairs,
that,
and we
yeah.
get to participate in the job fairs.
It's just more people, right? We're still hiring on merit. It's just more people
It
to look
increases
at.
the candidate pool.
Yeah,
I would say one of the things you're seeing job fairs that schools within Hunterdon County participating in job fairs in South Jersey, North Jersey, like everywhere beyond. In the years past, you often didn't have to do more than put out something in the local papers.
Oh, yeah, I remember there used to be people
Yeah.
bidding on one job,
But
hundreds of
now-
applications, yeah.
And in my time, I've seen applicant responses to a position go from 75 to 7. So we are reaching out in every possible direction just because the candidate pool is not as
So
big as it used to be.
basically, the whole reason to have this contract is just so they can do a job fair?
We could participate in the
You
job
participate
fair,
in it.
which takes a lot of money and resources to put on the fair. So it's just another avenue for us to have access to the fairs.
What other,
Many schools.
many schools, but what other, like, organizations out there or other recruitment consortiums that we work with?
We've gone to college jobs fairs before.
So
Those went away
they,
in the
so
pandemic, they're
CJ,
starting to
or
come
I'm
back
sorry,
now.
NJ Stride now, they put on their own job fair where people go there to recruit teachers?
It's a virtual job fair, where we create a booth, we man the booth, or, staff the booth, and then people jump in and say, hey, I'm a science teacher, do you have any jobs? And we say, as a matter of fact, we do, look, we're looking for physics. And we
Okay.
talk to them a little bit, we get them interested in the district, we try to sell on to them why they should come to our district versus somebody else's district. They try to sell us on who they are and why they're a good candidate, and we take names down, they take names down, and hopefully we contact each other and we get a good hire.
Okay, so what happens, I mean, I'm sorry, this is just confusing me a little bit, but what constitutes diverse? So there's just a certain amount of people that do it, but other people can't be a part of?
Constitutes a what? I'm sorry?
Diverse,
Diverse is everybody.
Everybody, everybody.
everybody, so includes anyone.
Anyone,
Yes.
anyone
Okay.
can be part of it.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, so I call for motion second to approve agenda items 12.1 through 12.21.
So,
Brendan?
go ahead, you.
Beth?
Second, you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Community relations didn't meet, but any comments?
Not for community relations, but the next one on 14 is delegates.
For delegates then,
Yeah.
for Tara?
And we hope that we'll meet next month.
Yeah,
for the
right, yeah,
next
every other month
meeting.
we're meeting, yeah.
So, New Jersey school boards held their delegate assembly in May, and it was quite lively. I'll send you all a link, but of the resolutions that had been proposed and discussed, 5 had failed, 10 were approved as proposed, and then 2 were, after discussion, were referred back to a committee, and they'll be brought up again next assembly, which is in November. But one of them that had approved was the verbiage for resolution number 7, and that was the use of artificial intelligence. So I wanted to read this for you because it overlapped with policy and curriculum. So what was approved during the delegate assembly was that the New Jersey School Board believes that the use of artificial intelligence, AI, by students and staff, along with the integration of AI into curriculum, presents both unprecedented opportunities and profound challenges to New Jersey school districts, and that school districts need to implement policies to establish guidelines for the use of AI in public schools. In support of this belief, NJ School Board supports the establishment of a statewide artificial intelligence task force, which will provide guidance and policy recommendations to assist public schools in ensuring equitable access to AI technologies, promote responsible and ethical AI use, and foster innovation and digital literacy among students and educators. So that motion, that resolution was approved at the assembly, but there'll be a task force, but it'll be something that both policy and curriculum should put on maybe the next agendas to start working and looking at the task
terrific.
force.
That's great
That's
news,
really,
Tara.
really
Thank
great.
you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's helpful.
And then the ones that were
So
referred back.
we monitor the task force, or we can actually sit in and listen to the task force?
We can listen to them, and they'll probably have workshops. They haven't come to that conclusion, but, and I'm assuming that in October, at the convention, there'll be areas of discussion and workshops on it at that time.
That's
So,
great.
and that brings us up to, that workshop will be in October, and if I don't know who wants to go, but the early bird session is at the end of this month. If we want to go, we can get reduced pricing, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Brendan,
That's great.
you had interest, right, so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Typically send out, I believe, like a Google form so that you can let me know of your interest and then we can
Right.
do a group rate.
Okay,
So
Oh,
just look for that shortly, sure.
thank you.
That's good. Kim? Anything to report on Hunterdon County School Board?
No, what I would say is, they have opened up all PD, so if you log on, you can start filling in your calendar. You know, and there's topics that I told you that, you know, toward the end of the year, they just fade off. But right, the first semester of the school year, you'll get a lot of PD, so I just, it's, you learn a lot. So I suggest that everyone take advantage of it as much as you can.
I definitely noticed that, like, when you're in them and then you have questions, it's like your question, like, other people are having that same question, and when they ask that question, it just brings up other things that you weren't even thinking about, but just definitely helps answer questions.
Personnel, Jess?
Personnel committee met, we discussed the personnel agenda.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So I need a call for motion second to adopt resolution 062524-2 for executive session to discuss matters falling under category 8 as reflected in the attached resolution. The board expects to be in executive session for approximately 1 hour, and upon return to public session, action will be taken. I need a voice vote, motion a second, sorry.
So moved.
Second?
I got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we're in executive session. All right, so I need a call for motion and second to reconvene public session.
So moved.
Second. Nicole? I didn't hear a second. Oh, Kim, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Objections? Okay, back in session. I need a call for motion and second to approve agenda item 18.1 and 18.2.
So moved. Oh, second.
Tara and Jess. And we need a roll call vote for that.
Ms. Cagnon?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Higgs?
Yes.
Ms. Beltran?
Yes?
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Mr. Neely?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes? Yes. Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Ms. Beato?
Yes.
And Mr. Burbanish?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need to abstain
Oh, you need to abstain, that's right.
from 18.2, my bad.
No, that's okay, got it.
Okay, so we're going to break protocol for a second, because I know it was very confusing tonight where we're located, so this young woman approached us to address, so. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
So my name is Christina Ferragamo. Should I identify my,
And yeah, where you're from.
I'm from Franklin Township. I have a son, rising sophomore, and another incoming freshman at Voorhees High School. So I came here today and I hope to attend all the school board meetings going forward, but I wanted to share that I am coming forward to become involved in the joint special education parent advisory group. I'm not sure if there is one at the moment. My understanding is that there is not an active special education parent advisory group. So I just wanted to come and inform the Board of Education, the Joint Board of Education, that I am a parent and that I would like to come forward to lead this group and tell you a little bit about what a CPAG is, and a little bit about myself, and ask for the district's support and the administrators especially support in encouraging the school districts to enable the group, because I can't form a parent-led group without the support of the school district, because I cannot recruit parents to join the group. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what a CPAG is. Some of you may already know. And this is from the New Jersey Department of Education. So a special education parent advisory group is a state mandated. So these are mandated by the state of New Jersey Department of Education. Your districts have to have one, and they have to be duly constituted, and they are parent-led. They are not district-led; they are parent-led. Okay, so you need parents to lead them, and the districts then collaborate with them. And the objective is that they provide input to the local school district on system-level challenges in special education-related services, issues, and needs. And they're not really supposed to represent one philosophy or another, but they are supposed to be comprised of parents working in cooperation with hopefully interested, involved, and committed administrators and teachers, and you have some great administrators and teachers in your district, to talk about issues that concern the parents and the students. That maybe that maybe currently have a 504 or an IEP, or are trying to get a 504 or IEP implemented, or are at the age where they're like between 21 and 23 and are looking towards adulthood. Okay, so again, it's a state mandated body, but it needs district support. Well, it actually needs administrator support, because again, I can't go out and recruit parents and say, oh, you have a special education student, would you like to join my group? So, yeah. So there's a flyer that I created at the end of last year, we'll call it the last 2 semesters, that I've been trying to get disseminated. I don't know, I've been working with wonderful people at Voorhees, but I'm not quite sure they know how to facilitate and support the administration and the implementation. So if it's okay, I would like to leave this with you, okay? So that we can just get a little bit of board support to to start next year and start strong, because in general, and active CPAGs end up really helping the districts by opening up lines of communication, creating healthier communities that are more inclusive, representing the needs of special education families, so that there are not misunderstandings or problems that come up. And then just a little bit about me, just so that you know who I am. I'm a biotech, I work in biotechnology, so I'm not an educator. But I also serve on the board of, and I have served on the board of an organization called New Jersey Inclusive, NJCIE, which is New Jersey Inclusive Education, and we spun off a parent-led group that works to educate parents on inclusion. Inclusion happens to be my sort of area of interest, but again, a CPAG would represent a parent that has an out-of-district placement and feels like that is the best, placement for their child to make meaningful progress or whatever. It represents your entire body. Okay, so I just wanted to say that we need your help.
Thank you. Yeah.
And also, one last thing I'd like to say is, I know I'm very bad at directions, but I'm not familiar with this building, and I know it's probably a runoff because you're moving around because so it's not a criticism at all, but I was just wondering how I was supposed to know how to come to cafeteria A or B and where it was. I probably am not the best with directions or spatial orientation, but I did notice that when I parked, I didn't know where to park in order to access this cafeteria, or the original cafeteria. Then I got back into my car and somebody told me it's over there. So I just want you to consider that even in the best case scenario, if I parked optimally and then I walked to cafeteria A, it might have been a quarter of a mile. So if I had an ambulation problem, it might be a struggle to come here, and it might be a deterrent to an open public meeting. So please do consider that. If you guys did post like a schematic or a map that said, this is where you should park to have accessibility to cafeteria A somewhere, and I missed it, then I'd be happy to help disseminate that. Okay? Thank you. And then accessibility, and then
Okay.
you have to be a high schooler.
All right, so, any old and new business? So I guess I have one. So Gwen is, as I emailed all of you, right? So Gwen is set to come to us on August 13th to do board goal setting. So one of the options she made me aware of is that we can also have the administration, right? So Jeff.
Glenn, can you talk?
Oh,
Yeah, you
sorry.
can talk louder, sorry. Yeah.
So one of the options on board goal setting is that we can also have the administration go into the comment period, right? So we're all entering a self-evaluation. We can also have, I believe, right, Jeff and or Katie also put in comments on us, right? This is not mandatory. Gwen's comment to me was some boards do this, some boards don't do that, right? So I'm not advocating for it. I just want everyone to be aware of it. And before I open it up, I guess what's everyone's thought on it, so.
I welcome the thought of getting feedback from administration. We've never received that before. So I think it would be helpful for us to hear how they feel we're achieving our goals.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When I saw it, I actually thought getting feedback is a good thing.
I do too.
I mean,
I agree.
but that's my opinion, so.
I was kind of thinking, since there's like so many of us compared to other boards, that another two people would just kind of be another two opinions. And then last year when we did this, like, self-evaluations, half the board didn't do it. So,
We never had a self-evaluation, let's be clear. We did not have the self-evaluation. Half of us completed it. The other half was in limbo. I brought it up.
Right, so that's
And
the
it didn't
past,
get
so
done.
we're gonna do it this
So
year.
what
We're
I'm-
gonna do it.
My point, we should do a board self-evaluation this year. If that's a goal, something that the board would like to do,
good idea.
moving forward, I would do it, we can change that. But we're in the process right now, already completed the superintendent evaluation. We're going to move to the board self-evaluation. I would suggest that we keep it a board self-evaluation this year.
I have to disagree. I think that the board has been in there's been so much activity amongst the board, that we should get the feedback from administration as to whether or not we're actually achieving goals or we're making more noise. And I think we need to hear how we've been functioning for the last year on their evaluation as well. I don't think we're self-evaluating, but we all have our own opinions of ourselves and the way the board has conducted itself, but I would really like to know what our administrators think of us. I think it's a valuable resource for us to have moving forward. And if we can get it this year, let's get it. We haven't started the process yet on the board evaluation. So why not include it?
Other thoughts?
I mean, I agree with Jess. I think it would be really helpful to have the administrators evaluate our performance and whether or not we're achieving what their expectations are. And, I mean, it's always good to have feedback. Oh, I mean, it never hurts to have feedback. It helps us to better understand
I agree.
what's happening, what's not happening. I don't see a downside in it.
I'm not saying that there's downside.
No, I know.
I'm saying we're in the middle of a process, and we had
But the process includes this as an option, and we haven't started the process with Gwen
We
yet.
have started Gwen has not committed, but we've started the process. People have started the process.
But that's fine, our process doesn't change, it's them providing feedback and
We
not
didn't even
us.
get feedback from our own board members last year.
But that's fine,
This last,
Well, how do
That's last
you
year.
see them giving us feedback? Are they
My
following the
my
same,
understanding is that they go into the same process we
document?
do. I don't know if, I mean, I'm assuming we're going to be able to determine their feedback because it's going to be toned in a certain way, meaning, from.
but we
comment.
should know that if.
Yeah, I'll be personal. I actually would like to know, right? I mean,
I would like to know too.
Now, timing-wise, though, will they have the ability to?
well, I mean, so at this point, Gwen's not coming until August, so
So,
we
yeah,
really
we have
do
plenty of
have,
time.
we have plenty of time to, we can certainly, right, I think I
So
said
it'd just
July
be-
2nd, right, but we can certainly move that date out. I don't think Gwen needs, 7 weeks to do this.
Right,
So
That's-
is it
but that's
just
my
the
opinion.
superintendent and the BA?
So-
Who would do it?
My understanding, it's from what I read, and you guys attend one of those meetings, is that it can be one and or the other. So it's-
One and or the other,
I would like both.
but it's compromised.
I would like it. I would really support that. I think it's essential for us to know. We've been in a lot of turmoil. This board has been through, the last 3 years, this board has been upheavaled. And if we don't get feedback from one and or both, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice.
And I don't disagree. I'm just stating the fact that we're in the process.
I get
and we
it,
should
but
move
why not add
forward.
to the process and make it a more robust review, more robust feedback, and give us more opportunity to improve? And have them, and have a full evaluation. I see no reason for it.
I'll make a motion to have the administration also be part of our board, self-review.
I second
Does
it.
the motion need to be stating one or the other, since you're saying one or the other or both?
Do we
Are
even
we-
need a motion, John, if it's listed in the board evaluation as an option? Why do we need it's just asking them to complete it.
Right, if there's a consensus of the board to invite administration to participate in that process, you don't need a
Okay.
motion to specify it. I appreciate the motion.
Okay.
In the thinking there, but, the conversation is heard, there's an obvious consensus, I believe. And so Glenn, as president, can share that with Gwen, and they'll participate in August.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
my suggestion, I know it's my personal suggestion, it's not one or the other. I think, yeah, both. Now,
Both.
listen, I don't know if it needs to be the superintendent or assistant superintendent. I think the way I read it was, it needs to be the superintendent, the board administrator, and the board secretary. We don't, right? That's-
Well, our
Ours
board
one and the
administrator
Right,
is
you're
our.
one and the same,
our
right? So, yeah,
business
so I
administrator
think
is our
it's,
secretary.
the way I read it was, it's Jeff and Katie. And
Okay.
frankly, because we work with I think, my personal opinion, it should be both.
Yep.
Tara, do you withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Yes, and I will as well.
All right, thank you.
And Glenn will make the outreach to Gwen.
Yeah, make sure. Listen, so if Gwen says something different, right, or something, a clarification, by all means, right, we can make a note, so.
Okay, great. Old and new business?
So I have another one, I guess.
Okay.
So the other one I had is, I know that we had talked about an updated demographic study, right? And I think because we're
Yeah.
seeing a downspin, but then, right, maybe there's an upspin, and so I
Yeah.
guess, right, we had talked about this in one of the committees, I guess, curriculum.
We
right?
talked about it in curriculum.
Curriculum,
Yeah,
yeah.
so whether or not we should be doing a demographic study, so that, I guess, was the next topic.
Well, I think it's, I mean, we just talked about it a week ago or 2
Yeah,
weeks ago.
okay, maybe it's a board goal or a board goal or
I think we should
objective.
put it as a board goal or an objective, but I also think one of the suggestions that I had said in curriculum was to reach out to the sending districts and
Exactly.
see if there's any level of collaboration we can obtain from them. So it's not just our
Okay.
burden, but also information that it's gonna be helpful to them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're doing their own study, why replicate
Fair enough, okay.
that district or that sending district when we can incorporate their results and then exchange the information on a broader level?
Yeah, because I had said also in committee that the Clinton Township School District made decisions several years ago to consolidate the students into fewer schools, which left Spruce Run open. They're using the building, but I'm sure that with the housing that's come into the area, that they're gonna wanna carefully monitor the increase, especially given the younger families that are
And
coming
that's what,
into
yeah,
the
that's what we
area.
had, that's
right?
exactly, we talked, I mean, we're on
Exactly.
the same page on
Yeah,
this one.
so
It's- yeah.
Clinton Township School District may actually be doing that already, so it's a good idea.
When's the last time that North Hunterdon-Voorhees?
Ours just expired and we had a 10-year demographic done. It was done right when I first started with the board, and ours just expired.
So it is prudent, and I
Yeah.
agree with Jessica, reach out to our study districts.
Yeah, so why don't we have Jeff,
then we're on
Jeff reach out to the sending
Yeah,
districts and discuss it with them, and that's a good idea.
And collaborate.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I had the same thought. I think Union's starting to flip into a younger.
No, I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I have two things. So one is committee meetings for July.
you know,
Are some of us doing them, some of us not? Because it seems
So
as
do,
if,
do we plan? I
from
saw the email
discussion
for that. Are
tonight,
we doing them or
some-
not? So they're not planned right now?
They're not planned, so if somebody wants to have them, I can bring that information to Jeff tomorrow.
To tap onto that, I wanted to address the comment that was made here, because I was a participant in the special education parent advisory groups with my daughter, who has Down syndrome, and we just approved a job description today, and I'm hoping that as a board, that was approved, and Rich, you can attest that we can make sure that the group gets the backing and,
Without a doubt, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that CPAG is already in existence at Clinton Township.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes, so you may actually, to the extent you have rising eighth graders coming in, that'll be a nice benefit. You'll have some of that population already.
There's no restriction for these public meetings for anybody to attend anybody else's CPAC. It can only help parents.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It also helps the school districts fulfill their obligation for having these meetings and having many of them in order to have healthy
Absolutely.
communities. And so you get one speaker and you have all the sending districts and you make it available to everybody. I can help
That's great.
with that too.
Great. And that would be something we should put on community relations.
Yes, I agree.
and
I
see
was just
if-
about to say
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll
I
add that
agree.
to our agenda for our
Yeah.
next meeting,
Perfect.
which will be in August, I
Yeah.
guess.
Thank you, but I found it.
Yeah.
I also have one more thing.
So,
I
hold on,
think-
so we didn't answer your first question, which,
Yeah.
let's resolve the
Okay.
first one.
Yeah,
So,
committee part.
Committees
Oh,
for
yeah.
July.
I just think about
I don't know, I mean, I don't see why not, but I don't, is there a reason why we shouldn't have them, or is this something to talk about?
I mean, I don't know
We
if Rich
typically have
Brown's gonna
committee
have
meetings.
anything. Is Rich, I
Yeah,
don't, so
it
if I
might
look
not
at
be
curriculum,
We put the July meeting on last month.
yeah, so,
So, that was the idea, is that we'd have a July meeting, but
Do we put it on as a placeholder to see if we had critical business, to then maybe,
I think following.
no, we
Cancel
plan
if
on
we
having a
have
meeting.
business?
If we advertise it, we plan on having a meeting.
okay.
And whatever business we have, we'll put on the agenda. I don't anticipate a lot in July, but
Well, why don't we schedule,
be some.
the committees, and if there's nothing to talk about, then we cancel them?
cancel
Is that
them.
fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Twice a month.
yeah.
Fair? You were
Sure.
advocating
Yes.
for the meetings, right? As I speak for you. All right, so why don't we schedule them, and then if there's nothing to talk about, we'll pull them off.
Okay.
Right, or they're just really fast.
And also to to continue from our discussion with the last meeting, the May 7th meeting with the books, the book situations in the library, I'd like to just make it a public statement. I'm not sure if it needs to go into policy committee, but there's the parental concerns, right? So in terms of having some kind of procedure for parents who have a concern about a certain book. If we could keep that on our radar, keep it on an agenda for an upcoming policy committee. Because it was stated last meeting that there is not a procedure at this moment.
Yeah, I'll be honest, right, I made that comment last time. I truly wish there was a happy medium that we can make everyone happy. Well, that's rhetorical, that's a double, right? But I really wish there was a place where the books could be on the shelves for those who want them there, and the books, those parents that don't want the books there, we can satisfy that. And I don't know what that answer is, and I don't know if that's something we can put into a committee to investigate, but I'll be honest with you, and I said it right, we spent a lot of energy on it, and I wish we wouldn't, I wish we could find a happy place where we don't spend that kind of energy.
Right,
Truly,
of course.
right? Because I understand, all right? I know how I voted, but I understand that parents are parents, and they strongly feel about their kids, and I'm never gonna tell a parent they're wrong in their opinion. And I wish we could find a place that make both sides of the parents happy. And I don't know if that's a committee
Well,
conversation or.
I think like for new business, it include regarding the book scenario. When I was trying to speak and get my thoughts out and have a conversation with the board, the decorum from the crowd, community was not okay. I did not feel that the decorum was handled well. I did not feel like it was pulled in well. I mean, finally, Andrew had to step in to say, like, you had your public comment, this is board discussion, you know, talking to other board members. They didn't feel they had a voice to voice their opinion. We were being heckled. I was being called names. It was really unruly. I sent an email to you in administration. I got no response. None.
Yeah,
I'm still
I-
speaking. I'm still struggling with the fact of communication because I understand that we're all not going to agree. I get that. And that's all right. That's why there's 12 of us on this board. But it really was a difficult situation for me to get a lot more information out and other people. And then when I file a grievance, it's not even responded by administration or you.
So I guess I have two comments, right? I'm not going to disagree that when we're doing this, the public needs to be quiet. I also know at some extent, if I keep acknowledging noise gets larger, right? So to some extent, you try to overtalk it and let it calm itself down, right? We have a large crowd, so I apologize if you felt the way you did, right?
Thank you.
But, you know, sometimes you try to let it just calm itself down, right? I do some of this for a living, right? Sometimes let the noise calm, but I apologize that, you know, you felt that way.
Well, I don't think it was just me. I think it was other board members
Okay.
too.
And I'm gonna tag on that. It was very uncomfortable. It's embarrassing.
It's been an uncomfortable
And
so
situation
it
here
would
for a long
just-
I'm speaking,
time.
Jessica.
So-
Please let me speak. And it was embarrassing, and some of us did not get a chance. And then to watch the public engaging, there's three sides to every story. But we had public and split, and they were passionate on both sides. And it seemed like they were heckling board members and shutting them down, as in Nicole's statement. And then there was also public members being shut down, and people were screaming, "Shut up, sit down!" And the officer had to come over to a gentleman, and it's just so inappropriate. And that is when the time to use that gavel, and to make those, to step in there. I agree with you. Sometimes you have to learn to pull back, but you have not been doing that, and it's spurred out of control.
Okay.
And we did. There were some of us that do sit here at the board that are constantly feeling uncomfortable, and we have new board members that are being heckled and uncomfortability, and it's just not right, a lack of decorum and civility. And I did mention that the last 2 months.
We had an incident in January when we had moved from the board office to the bigger cafeteria, where there was a very large group of people that wanted to speak. And it was great that we extended the public comments, because I think it was very necessary to hear everybody. There was a situation where a public community member was being cut in line routinely by students to come and speak, because I guess they were trying to squeak their way in to make sure we didn't cut off the public comments. After a couple times, when he tried to address it, it got a little altercation with some of the community members that were sitting there. And then when the cops went and approached him, a thumb came up from one of the board members to you, and immediately you stated to leave, for him to leave. Meanwhile, there was a mother who was running across the thing, cursing, and she was able to stay. So those kind of behaviors show that a support for a special interest group, which as board members, we're really not supposed to do. Now, I'm not sure, it was a really weird situation. I think a lot of it was getting a little out of control. But on that case, when one board member gave you a thumbs up, that person got thrown out, wasn't able to make a public comment. So, that has been complained to me quite often. I don't know if they had written into you or to the administration, but when you have little things like that, or when you're allowing more people on the other side to have that extra minute or 30 seconds to finish, and then, so it just shows that there's,
No, it's the perception.
it's a perception of supporting a special interest group. The other thing that I thought that was, we discussed that regarding the book review committee, there was a leak. It was never addressed. And that should have been addressed, because that was a very big deal, I mean, we don't want to look like that we compromised anything. We don't want to look like the book review committee compromised anything. I mean, obviously, some of the people.
I've explained to you multiple occasions that you understand that the committee's formed, and you would appreciate that you would think the committee knows that there's a degree of confidentiality, okay? A member decided to let it go. It's, I don't know what to say, right? Going forward, next time, we'll make it very clear, you should not be doing that.
I meant addressing the community, letting the community know about the leak, sorry.
At some point, it's right, it's not the community, it's our problem, right? You all said it was your problem, and so I told all of you who called me for the hours at length that it happened, it's not an issue, it shouldn't have happened, but it did, and it won't happen again, because we'll make it very clear, if they get into that situation, it's a confidential document, it should not be released until the board has it. Right, we're rehashing things we've talked about multiple times, trust me, multiple times. I will hammer the gavel harder in the future, because you want me to hammer the gavel harder at people who come to listen to us.
I
certainly,
actually wish
I
you
will
wouldn't
tell
have to
you,
do that.
I will tell you, my personal feeling is, when people are upset over a heated topic, banging on a gavel when you're standing on a stage, I'm not so sure it calms people down, but that's my personal opinion. I will hammer gavels going forward.
You don't have to either to the gavel. You could call for a recess.
Okay, I got it. Let's move on.
Okay, so then as another new business item, I would like to make a motion to go out for an RFP for board attorney. It's been 3.5 years since we've done such.
So this is something that we should have done prior to approving board attorneys tonight, right? So this is effectively kind of late, right? We should have done this.
That's what I tried to do.
You're making a motion. Well, let her
But-
proceed. She wants to make a
So
motion.
why
We're
don't
in
we,
new
why don't we
business.
put it into finance? Let
We're-
finance talk about it. Is that an option, or?
Well, we're in new
It's a
business.
motion.
It's a motion, I'm making a
all
We're
motion.
in new
to
business.
go out
If she
for-
wants to make her proposal,
Can I
then-
intercede just for a moment?
Sure.
As the qualified purchasing agent, I have to go through certain deliberative processes in order to appoint professionals. We did that process. We appointed the professionals at tonight's meeting. If we want to do an RFP process, that goes through me. That's something that I am qualified to do, and if the board has a consensus to do that, I'm happy to do that. But I think we should start with finance committee. We can have that discussion. We can poll the board and see if that's necessary. Can I?
How does that work?
We'll do a
Next
poll.
committee
Process would be
meeting
on
will
the
be on the
committee.
agenda. It'll be on our next agenda.
Policy, discuss it, and if policy
Or
makes a
finance.
recommendation to the
Finance.
board.
Yeah. Finance.
Or finance.
Finance.
Sorry,
So if we
finance
have
discussion,
a
yes.
July finance meeting, we can have that discussion of what it looks like, and we can poll the board and see if there's a consensus
Yeah.
to do that. And again, that goes through my office. I handle the RFP with all of you, and then we would go through that same process we did 3 years ago.
Katie, I appreciate that, I do. I respect you highly, and I would never step on your toes or other. But just so the board is aware, I called and spoke with Glenn, this was back in February, and I asked about this, a person to discuss this and ask this, to get direction.
Right, and I said, put it to finance, and you didn't.
We know that was not the whole conversation, but I don't think this is the time and place. But you had said to wait, and then you have said other things. So there, again, it's miscommunication, it's inefficiencies, and we're not effectively communicating.
Which is more reason why we should having board goals.
And had that been the topic, you would have said that to myself and said, or any other person who reached out to you, you would have stated, where you are to make the motion before we approve, and it would have been done. Somebody would have made that motion last month. I think with everything going on last month, it was held back.
Okay.
So it goes to finance talks about it, and it goes from there, is that what we're doing? All right.
That's what I would
Thank you.
recommend.
All right, I think Katie's recommendation is good.
I mean, I didn't.
Anything
I
else?
were able to make
Yes,
motion.
I do. I wanted to mention graduation. I went to both. It was, Voorhees they were both phenomenal. It was cool in the morning, great, came over here. It was phenomenal. And to hear the speeches and to hear them talk about Joey, and many of us know Joey, it was just very touching, and it was great to see board members. But I would like to see board members, because we represent two constituencies, go to, when they can, I know we work both graduations. And I did bring this up to Rich several times, that pushing back the time. And I know about the hot, the heat, the rain. I mean, nothing's ever perfect. But maybe we do a morning and an evening. Maybe we change it up, or there's ways to do it, because it is a celebration of our students' achievements and our district's accolades. And we should be doing it together. And we all just don't represent, most of us represent two constituencies. I would ask that, I asked about a bus. Katie and everyone was great getting me out, and I rushed over here, but it was very uncomfortable going in with the students coming down, and I'm walking across the front of the turf to get on the stage. It's not my moment, it's the graduates' moments, and I felt uncomfortable. I would like to see it, it'd be like 10 and 12, or we do a nighttime, we do something. Let's think out of the box, try things, right? We're talking about options, right? Everyone's saying that here. And I think it would be prudent of us to go back to doing those. Because, we all should be partake. And it would be a great opportunity, if they're separated, then administration can go to both and not pick one to go to.
Yeah, Kim, I wanted just to add to that. So I've been to the North graduation last year and this year I went. And I think it's part of our responsibility as board members to attend graduations. We know a year in advance when graduation is taking place. So to me, unless there's a family emergency, there should be no reason why you can't plan ahead with your jobs that you have. And I think it almost should be a mandatory responsibility for everybody. And yes, if we have to, we can split up based on the towns that we represent. But there should absolutely be a decent showing of board members at the graduations.
3 board members.
Yeah.
At North Hunterdon's
Yeah.
graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
And there were several at Voorhees.
Yeah.
Well, and I did the Voorhees, but there was just no way I was
Well,
gonna be
that's
able
the
to get
thing.
down to
Yeah,
the field.
and
So if we could have a bigger time frame.
I know, I agree
Or
with
that's what-
easier
yeah.
logistics, I
Yeah.
I
would go
think
to
Kim was
both.
saying,
but-
right, and then if we have maybe one in the evening, maybe the next year you flip it, so, I don't know, something to that effect, but it is definitely essential for
Yeah.
board members to be present. It is an amazing thing to
It
witness.
is.
It's
It
an honor
really
to
is.
be there. It's an honor to be there. at their graduations, when they've completed their educations,
Yep.
and we've done something really important for them. I think it's an honor for us to
And
be
for
there
them
with
to
them.
see the board
Yeah,
support them and the administration at both schools.
yeah.
It's a great occasion, so revel with it.
And I have one more thing for old business. Since the lack of decorum, I wasn't able to add some comments to the conversation that we were having about the book. So I just wanted to bring up that the argument was made to trust the experts. And my comment was going to be that the ALA's president, which would be the expert on this, is a known self-admitted Marxist lesbian who promotes queer theory.
Is it, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Nicole, but is it necessary to label the person that's speaking, or the Marxist lesbian? Is it necessary?
100%, you just interrupted my comments.
And I
If you
just
don't
asked
like
you.
what I have to say, you're more than welcome to walk out.
Okay, let's,
That's
okay,
really,
okay.
you talk about
interrupted me.
Okay,
I
okay, let's
understand, but
let Nicole.
but I wanted to ask if it was necessary to use those words.
Let's have her finish her point, and everyone can
Does the word bother you?
respond.
Okay, let's.
No, I just don't know why you're
it's okay.
using it.
Okay,
Nicole,
so
let's
the
finish
theory basically is used to catalog books in libraries. The term is broadly associated with the study, a theorization of gender and sexual practices that exist outside of heterosexuality and challenge the notion of heterosexuality as normal. Why is the ALA pushing sexuality in lieu of education? That was going to be my argument, okay? Pervasively vulgar novels, mainly in the LGBT genre. Who's protecting the LGBT children, okay? This theory aligns with Marxism, which undermines American values, okay, and traditional families, okay? The raised fist, okay, is a symbol of Marxism, okay? It represents a wide range of political ideologies, most notably socialism, communism, anarchism, trade unionism, whatever that is, and also can be used to salute expressing unity, strength, or resistance, okay? So the NJEA, another expert on their social media, has a fist as a rose. What does that represent? That represents Marxism, okay? So my point is, when you're going to trust the experts, okay, we do trust our professionals. We're trying to trust our professionals, okay? However, one of the experts during an assembly education hearing on the Freedom to Read Act stated, in my professional role, there is no pornography for minors in a school library, so there is no need to restrict it. She also stated that the idea of obscenity, that is a definition can only be determined by a judge and jury, that our personal opinion about obscenity does not make it so, which is false, because we do have a state law that states what obscenity is. So I wanted to add that to the book thing, because I disagreed highly with the book.
Right, so just to be clear, right, those obviously are Nicole's opinions and not the opinion of the board, so she's speaking as an individual and not on behalf of the board, just so people.
I think that's where I got confused.
Okay, any other old or new business? Okay, call for a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Fully opposed?